Hi, everyone. Welcome to our General Science course selection webinar. We are so happy you decided to join us on your Tuesday evening. So thank you for tuning in from wherever you are. I'm just going to start off with a quick land acknowledgement. Next slide, please. Thank you. As Canadians, we have a collective responsibility to recognize the injustices committed against Indigenous peoples who have lived on and cared for this land long before the arrival of European settlers. Queen's campus is situated on the traditional Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples' territories. The Kingston area, originally known as the Cataraqui, has been home to Indigenous communities for thousands of years and remains a place of significance and ongoing relationship for many Indigenous peoples today. As a student, I am grateful for the opportunity to live, work, and study as an uninvited guest on this territory. It's important to understand that Queen's, like many institutions in Canada, was established through colonial systems that displaced Indigenous communities. As a settler and a guest, I carry a responsibility to reflect on the history and to contribute to a more just, inclusive, and respectful future. If this is new to you or you'd like to learn more, I encourage you to explore the resources offered by the Office of Indigenous Initiatives and the Four Directions Indigenous Student Center, both online and on campus here at Queen's. Thank you for taking a moment to reflect with me. Now, to introduce myself, my name is Tate. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm one of the peer ambassadors with SOAR this year. I'm going into my 4th year of the Life Sciences program, and I'll pass it off to Harshita to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Harshita. I use she, her pronouns, and I am another one of the peer ambassadors with SOAR this year. I am going into my 4th year while I study biology and employment relations. So this webinar is being recorded and will be available on the Student Experience Office website and YouTube channel within the next few business days. If you have any questions or concerns during this webinar, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and we will get to your questions at the end of the presentation. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to our presenter, Kathryn.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Welcome, science students. Welcome, families, to the Faculty of Arts and Science at Queen's. Before we get into it, congratulations are in order. You have matriculated, you have a student number, you are now officially a Queen's student. So this is a super exciting time, of course, for you and for us too, though. One of the best parts of our jobs is to meet the new incoming class and to introduce you to the Faculty of Arts and Science. So welcome. My name is Kathryn Vilela. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the academic advising lead in the Student Services Office for the Faculty of Arts and Science. So today we're going to talk through the basics of choosing your courses, registering in your courses for your first year. As our host said, this session is going to be recorded, and in addition to being posted on the Student Experience Office website, it will also be on the Arts and Science website on the first year registration guide, which you will hear about frequently from me during this presentation. So if you'd like to watch it again or you need to refer to the information later, this will be a good resource for you as well. I also just want to quickly bring to your attention some of the other great support and prep sessions that we have scheduled for you this week. We've got registration Q&A sessions via Zoom lined up for Friday, July 19th. These are going to be happening both in the morning from 9 a.m. to 12 noon Eastern Time, and 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, where you can ask any remaining questions about your specific registration needs or concerns to an academic advisor in a one-on-one confidential conversation. So that's a great way to get some things cleared up. If you have any big picture questions too, we'd love to see you the day before. On Thursday afternoon, we've got an academic advisor's AMA, or Ask Me Anything. So if you've got some big questions about what it's going to be like to make the transition academically into university, or questions about resources or supports, we'll be able to chat about those at that time. Speaking of questions, throughout the session today that we're in right now, our academic advisors, Haley, you can see Haley right there she is, and Darylyn, there's Darylyn, and our wonderful student intern, Emma. They are all going to be answering questions in the Q&A panel that you have access to at the bottom of your screen. Now, that being said, I would encourage you to hold on to your questions even just for a wee little bit, as many of them will probably be answered in the information that we've got for you in this prepared presentation. So I'm going to spend roughly 40 minutes or so sharing info and tips with you about registration, explaining some things and some terms, and then we'll spend the remaining time answering some questions live as well. So without any further ado, let us talk about this exciting journey that you are all about to embark on. All right. I mentioned the first year registration guide. This is a page on the Arts and Science website, and this is your roadmap and your #1 tool. It contains all of the information that you'll need to walk you through the registration process, including how to choose your courses, frequently asked questions, class schedule examples, links to all of the tools that we offer. So definitely keep this handy. Like I said, I'm going to be referring to it throughout the session. All right, so how does first year science work? You've all been admitted to a Bachelor of Science honors program, but not to a specific plan. In other words, you don't yet have a major or a minor or a specialization in your first year of studies. Instead, your first year in the faculty is designed to allow you an opportunity to explore, to be curious, and to take some time to figure out what you love and what you want to focus your studies on. You'll decide on your ideal plan combination and request that when you finish first year. So over the course of this coming year, we want you to explore the different plans we offer by going through the degree plans listed on the first year registration guide, and you'll pick your classes according to what is recommended to keep your options open to access those plans. The goal is to keep multiple options open. So at the end of your first year, you'll have a number of different plans that you're eligible to choose from and can mix and match in different combinations. Oh, there we go. Here's some key terminology. You're going to hear us talk a lot about programs and plans and how many units you need to graduate. So what does that mean exactly? So your program is your degree. In your case, Bachelor of Science honors. Your plans are what you choose to major, minor, or do a specialization in, like biology or geography, environmental sciences, astrophysics, etc. A term is a session or a semester. Our academic year is divided into a fall term and a winter term. We also offer an optional summer term for those who might wish to catch up from dropped or missed courses or get ahead with some degree requirements or electives. And units are like academic credits. So you'll need 120 units to graduate with your honors degree, with your Bachelor of Science honors. Most single term classes or courses are 3 units in weight. And most full year courses, which would start in September and go all the way through to April, are 6 units in weight. Because different courses have different unit weight than others, we'll calculate your progress towards your degree completion by the number of units you've completed, not by the number of classes that you take necessarily. All right. So once your first year classes are finished next spring, we're going to take a little peek into the future for a second here. We're going to ask you to request your preferred plans in mid-May. So this is a key step in your studies, appropriately called plan selection. Then you'll really start to focus on taking the courses that you need for your plans in second year and beyond. But even in your upper years, you're still going to have room to take elective courses as well. So how do those courses that you take in first year count? What are your options in May for choosing your major? The good news is everything you take in first year is helping toward your degree completion, whether those end up being plan courses within your degree or elective courses. Your Bachelor of Science honors degree, as I said, is going to be 120 units. So if you look at that sort of box there on the side of the screen, that's the number of units that you would need to fill up. Within those units, your degree requirements will have both depth, and this is where your plans come into play, and breadth, and this is where your elective requirement fits in, your free choice courses. There are 3 different degree plan types that you can choose from. As I mentioned, there are specializations, there's majors, and there's minors. So let's look at how you might eventually combine these plan options to design your degree, because they can be mixed and matched in some different ways. They are distinct from each other, and they can be kind of stacked up like Legos or building blocks. So you'll often hear it described as modular plans. All right, so here you can see the 5 different ways that a Bachelor of Science student can decide to mix and match their plans for their degree when the plan selection period takes place at the end of first year. So the first option you can see is a major-minor combo. So in this case, you choose a major, which requires about 60 units, about half of your degree, and you'll also choose a minor focus that will be 24 to 30 units. And then the remainder of your courses are made up of free choice electives. Or if you have 2 subjects that you want to dig into equally deeply at that sort of higher honors level, a double major may be the right fit for you. So in this case, you have 2 equally split honors level concentrations instead of 1. So 60 units of your degree is the first major, 60 in the second. So those of you keeners doing the math here may say, but wait, 60 units plus 60 units is 120. So that doesn't leave any room for elective breadth. But don't worry, because there are courses that overlap between plans. So for example, if you take a calculus course in first year that's required for both of your majors as a supporting course, it satisfies the requirement for both of them, and that frees up some room for electives. A double major can be a good multidisciplinary option if you like to have that depth and that variety, or if you have a particular area that interests you for an interdisciplinary career or postgraduate studies. You might also choose to have a major with 2 minors alongside. Same as before, the major is going to be about 60 units, but here you would be adding 2 minor subjects instead of just 1. But even in this very multidisciplinary plan combo, you do still have electives. We really want to keep that because they are a very key component of your degree as an undergraduate overall. Keep in mind that for your minors or for a second major, it's also good to note that you aren't restricted to choosing from science subjects. If you want to make your degree truly multidisciplinary and add, say, an arts major or a computing minor to your science major, you can do that. As long as you take the courses in first year that will open up what we call the gateway for you to be considered for placement in those subject areas. This is part of the beauty of being in a faculty of arts and science. Next on the list there, we have a specialization, which is more intensive than a major. You'll be able to spend some time during your first year investigating what are the big differences between maybe a specialization in a subject versus a major in the same area. But for the moment, we'll just note that the main difference in your degree overall would be that a specialization has more units than a major. And unlike a major, it can stand on its own as a plan without needing a minor to be added. The final option you can see is that if you want to add a minor to a specialization, you can. Even though you don't have to, you're welcome to if you like. And again, you don't have to decide any of these plan combination options for yourself until the end of first year. So you have time to decide. Okay, so if we know all that, we've looked ahead into the future and said, these are all the different ways that we can use those first year classes to give plan options. What does that mean for right now, though? How do you go about choosing your first year classes? So when you go to the first year registration guide, you're going to find some different ways to search through the first year courses you can take. So to determine which courses you can take in first year, click on choosing your courses. And from there, you're going to see a short checklist, and one of the major things that'll pop out is this red button that says courses by plan. So you want to click on that link to start with. Just a note, if you're looking ahead to, rounding out your schedule with electives. If you're looking towards the entire list in the academic calendar to see what's being offered, that's a great way to get a longer list of elective options. Keep in mind, though, that not all the courses that you see in the arts and science calendar are offered in every given year. So you may see some courses listed in the calendar that don't show up on SOLUS, and that just means that it's not being offered this particular year. All right, but if we're going to the pick your courses by plan, let's have a look at an example here. So on that page, you're going to find every degree plan that we offer in the Faculty of Arts and Science. Take a look at all of the ones you're interested in and write down those recommended courses. Make sure that you note the courses that are labeled Gateway. So using the example here, if we look at someone interested in a potential biology major, so they should plan to take Biology 102 and 103. Note that the units for each of those courses says 3 units, so that means they're single term courses. Chem 112, 6 units means that's a full year course, and Math 120 or 121. As I said, it's important to note those gateway courses. When you're requesting your degree plan, those are the ones that the departments are going to be looking at. Entry into the plans is going to be based on that you've taken the gateway course and that you met the grade requirements that they're looking for in that course. And it will also be based on your first year GPA overall. Every department decides what minimum grades they might require to allow students into their degree plans, majors, minors, specializations. So keep in mind that it does matter. You do want to do well, and students who have chosen their courses well, to choose lots of gateways and who have solid grades are going to have lots of options open to them. So this is how you open the door to get into your plan. The more gateway courses you take in first year, the more doors you have, the more choices of plans to pick from. A lot of the time, we know students do go into first year with maybe a really super focused plan to pick a certain major or a certain specialization that they have in mind. But often over the course of first year, students change their minds. So having multiple gateway courses gives you lots of flexibility. So you might wonder, what about these non-gateway courses? What about the other courses listed here besides Biology 102 and 103? So those are all of the first year classes that are part of the overall biology plans. So if you followed that recommendation, it would help to keep you on track. Even though it's only the gateway courses that the biology department, in this case, would be assessing during plan selection for placement, it is a wise choice to add the other recommended courses to your schedule as well, if at all possible. And you'll see that, like I mentioned, there's lots of overlap. For example, here, the chemistry course that you take that's recommended by the biology department as a supporting course will also function as a gateway course if you decide to pursue a plan of some kind in chemistry. Okay, let's talk about some math options. You might notice that many of the science plans recommend that you take a first year calculus or algebra course, and there are a few to choose from. So you'll see this information also reflected on the first year registration guide, and it will walk you through which class fits best. And of course, you can rely on those plan recommendations in listed by plan. And it might depend on your strengths and your interests as well. So Math 110 and 120, so 110 is an algebra course, 120 is calculus. They're generally designed for students who would like to keep the door open to majoring in math or statistics. 112 and 121 are great supporting math courses for many other science and computing plans. 126 or Math 127 and 128, either or, is a calculus for art students, for those who are planning to do economics as a specialization. So if you pick a course that you get into it and you find it might be too difficult or too easy for you, or you find it's not the right one for the plan options you want to head towards, you can make a switch and move to the appropriate one within the first couple weeks of classes. So let's look at the same thing for physics courses, because a similar situation applies. Both Physics 104 and 106 are courses that are designed for students who are thinking about potentially majoring in physics, particularly 104. 104 is a good one if physics is really really up your alley. 115 and 116 are great supporting classes for many science plans, and they're the most common choice as sort of supporting courses in that way. Again, like the math, there's an opportunity to be moved to a different level and to switch courses if you find that you're not in the right fit of the class for you. Pay attention as well to that note in the red box as well, talking about prerequisites. So if you don't have any high school physics background, you can still take Physics 115 or 115 and 116, but you must have at least 12U math in order to do that. And you'll also just be aware that it might be a bit of an uphill climb. So be ready to really give that class some priority and maybe set up some tutoring sessions or a study group to make sure that you feel confident. Finally, we will look at a similar one for computing courses. So if you're interested in taking some computing courses, you may have that option. CISC 121 and 124 that you can see on the right-hand side of the screen there, they're the two foundation classes that are required for anyone who may wish to pursue a computing minor. If you're not sure, or if you don't have any programming background, you should take CISC 101. So that's for someone who doesn't have previous programming experience, or maybe isn't sure if they feel super comfortable jumping right into an intensive university level computing class. Now, the reason I said you may have the option to take computing classes is that this year's first year cohort that accepted an offer to a Bachelor of Computing degree will have priority to register in these courses for the first few days of enrollment. But once they've enrolled, any remaining spaces will be open for other students who want to take those courses either as electives or if you're hoping to add a computing minor to a science plan. Okay, and then back to electives. So many of you may find that all of the courses that you want to take in your first year are gateway courses for particular plans. For example, a student taking a full year of biology, chemistry, geography, and psychology would have a really well-rounded year, and they could request a plan in any of those areas at the end of their first year. But there's also courses that students should take that aren't gateway courses to be placed in a plan, like we saw with the student interested in biology, who would also take Math 121, a supporting course in calculus. You might decide to take a course just out of pure interest. Keep in mind that these might be something that we call true electives or terminal courses, which just means that they don't open up plan options for you. So if you do take an elective that is a terminal course, that's okay, but keep in mind that you're going to have opportunities to take these types of courses in your upper years as electives as well. First year is really all about setting yourself up with as many options as possible for your plan. So having too many courses in the mix that don't open up those gateways is not a wise approach to your first year of studies. As an example, as an academic advisor, like some examples I might give would be, things like cognitive science or anatomy 101 or something. Could look really interesting, but they might not open those kind of doors that you want to keep open for yourself. Just to add to that too, often students who postpone too many required supporting courses until their upper years, like things like Math 121 or Chem 112 for a biology student, may also lead to timetabling issues to fit those in amongst your second, third, or fourth year courses. So it is best to focus on gateway and supporting courses and save those pure interest courses until your upper years. Okay, so moving right along. Oh, yes. Important dates. What do you need to do and when? All of the registration timelines are listed in the guide under registration important dates. And right now you can view the live timetable and find out which courses are being offered in which term. So you can start mapping out your own schedule. And you can also go to SOLUS if you haven't already and view your enrollment appointment and time. July 29th at noon, you'll see that that's highlighted here on the important dates as well. This will be when the reserves on any first year courses that you didn't already have access to will be lifted. So like I was talking about computing courses being given priority for Bachelor of Computing students coming in. There are also a couple arts courses that are given priority for arts. And similarly, you as incoming science courses have priority access to some science courses that that arts and computing students would not quite have yet until July 29th at noon. You do have from July 22nd, that's your first enrollment, your enrollment appointment time, all the way up until September 15th to add classes. 15th of September is the last day for add drop, but we really do suggest that you register by July 29th if you can. After that date, we open up those first year classes also to upper year students who may want to take them as electives or to catch up on other course requirements. So spaces could fill up if you wait too long. The general rule for registration is the sooner the better. July 30th is a pause day, and also August 4th through 17th, you'll see it's marked as the hiatus. So this is when we allow some time for SOLUS to run the waitlist engines, and everything kind of settles out there for enrollment. And then starting August 18th, we open all remaining spaces in all classes to everyone. Classes start on September 2nd. Like I said, last day to add will be on the 15th. So you can try and swap some courses in those first couple weeks if you try a class and you just don't love it, or you want to trade for something else instead. Okay. Any tips for securing all the classes that you want to take? Well, it is tricky. So timetabling really does take time. One of the greatest things about being an arts and science student is you have lots and lots of choice and flexibility, but with choice and flexibility comes complexity, which means that figuring out registration is never a quick and easy job. So it does take some time. Spend the good part of a day going over the registration guide in detail. Think carefully about what courses you want to take, what majors and specializations and minors you want to pursue, and add the courses to your shopping cart on Soloulless. And if you're running into walls at that point after you sort of do that background work, absolutely reach out for help. If you plan to graduate in 4 years, you should aim to take 5 classes or 15 units per term in both the fall and the winter. You can take fewer if you want. Academically, there's no rule against taking a lighter course load, and there's no time limit that we impose on graduating. But it's important to note that that the academic regulations for that are not the only thing that might apply to you here. So, for example, financial concerns may come into play if you're receiving money from a source such as an award, a loan, a scholarship, a bursary. It's always smart to check with the source first to make sure that you are maintaining the right course load to have access to that funding source. Also, students who are international students, who are varsity athletes, living in residence, who might be aiming towards med school and might be aiming for a particular program that is going to be looking for 100% of a full-time course load every year of study. These are all good external factors to keep in mind that can impact your ideal timetable as well. So building your schedule and figuring out how to fit everything in is kind of jigsaw puzzle-like. And sometimes if one of the course selections you had eyeballed, you had in mind is full, you might have to start over again. And then it can kind of feel a little bit like Jenga when you pull a block out and the tower comes tumbling down. But if you start with the most important courses to you first, you'll see that on the course listings on Soloulless, and we'll have a look at this in a moment, the system will show you all of the possible pairings of lecture times with the labs and or tutorials that go specifically with that particular lecture section. So you might have to move things around a few times to get all your classes to fit. If you are putting in true elective courses, those should be definitely chosen last based on what space you have remaining. You'll notice that the tutorial and lab sections are fairly small compared to the lectures. So during your enrollment appointment, you might run into a section or a situation where those specific labs or tutorials are full. So if that's the case, just keep scrolling down through the list that SOLUS has for lab options and tutorial options. This may sound funny, but every year we do find that students tend to pick the first class sections that SOLUS lists. So they tend to fill up first, even if the actual times of those sections might be exactly the same as options that sit further down the list. So definitely scrolling down is a good tip. Some other good things to know: if you see any courses that say TBA on the location, those are online sections. So that's going to be an online course. If it also says TBA in the timing, that means it's an asynchronous online course. Make sure that you're adding both fall and winter term now. Register for the whole year. You're not just registering for fall, you're going to put the whole year. So once you're finished enrolling, you'll have the entire academic year all set for you. As I mentioned, if you got any first year arts courses, you'll be able to do that. Try and add them during your enrollment time. There's only a few that are restricted for only art students. But if you're seeing that reserve, you'll be able to put it yourself on the wait list, and then that will run. And if there's a spot in that course, then you'll be able to get in on July 29th. Back-to-back classes are okay. If you see something that starts or ends at 2:30 and you've got another class section that starts at 2:30, that's not a conflict. That's okay. As long as they're both either on main campus, even if they're in different buildings, as long as it's still on main campus, or they're both at Duncan MacArthur Hall, which is West Campus. A course that ends at 2:30 is actually going to end at 2:20. So you'll have that 10-minute window to be able to get from one class to the other, which is enough time on a compact campus like Queen's is. However, like I said, West Campus, Duncan MacArthur Hall, is about a 20-25-minute walk away from main campus. So that wouldn't be enough time for that 10-minute gap to be able to accommodate your transit. So make sure that if you're moving from campuses that you give yourself a bit of space. Don't forget breaks. Oh, this is important. So yes, make sure that you've got time to eat, that you've got time to take some body breaks and go for a stretch and go to the gym or meet with your friends. And so if it's okay to have back-to-back classes, but make sure that you're not back-to-back from the absolute start of the day to the end of the day. That is less than ideal. And plan for plan B. This is just kind of, again, being flexible with those sections. And like I said, scroll down. You might be surprised at what you find room in that fits really well with your schedule. All right, so many of you will be taking either all of these courses that I've got listed up here, or most of these courses: biology, chemistry, calculus, physics. They're foundational first-year courses for a really wide range of science plans. So if you're taking Biology 102 in the fall, you might be keen to go on environmental science, but the people sitting around you may have been maybe direct entry life science students, or they may be a general science student interested in biotechnology, or even a Bachelor of Arts students interested in doing a major in drama with a minor in biology. But the course is the same for all of you. So we know that lots of first-year students want to take these courses. In order to make your schedule work and avoid conflicts, we recommend starting with this scheduling strategy if you're planning to take either all 4 of these courses or even 3 of them. So if your science degree interests lie in other directions like math or physics or geology, you can start with those gateway courses for your interests. And then if you want to take biology or chemistry, you can just see which sections will work with your own gateway courses. All right, let's recap so far. You've read through the registration guide. You understand the basics. You know what a unit is, how a degree is structured, what a plan is. Yes, you know where to find the recommendations on how to approach your course selection to keep those gateways open for the plans you're interested. And you've decided what classes you want to take in fall and winter term. Okay, you know you can add them to your shopping cart. Yes. Now, here comes the registration part. So we're going to walk you through SOLUS and what you're going to see when you're actually registering in your classes. One little side note, if you're not yet using your Queen's email account, definitely start right now. This is the way that we're going to be communicating important information to you, so make it a habit of using this account. It's also secure. If we stick to using Queen's email accounts, we can ensure that the correspondence internally is safe and secure. So if you go from queensu.ca and you just click search and sign in, you'll see that expanding that sign-in option is also going to let you access SOLUS, and that is where we are headed now. So from there, you are going to enter your net ID and password. So this is your electronic signature, good digital hygiene. We all know, don't share your net ID password with anybody. Once you get into your My Queens U page, look for SOLUS. There it is up there. I definitely do encourage you to take some time in the coming days to explore through this whole Student Center hub and see what kinds of different resources and applications you have access to through that hub. But for now, let's start with viewing your enrollment appointment time. All right, so you can see this by going to Manage Classes and then click on Enrollment Dates and on 2025 Fall. From there, it's going to list your date as July 22nd, and in the details, it's going to confirm your specific time. Now, to add classes, click on Class Search and Enroll and click the term that you're registering for. For any full year courses, once you're signing up for them during your registration time, you'll register in fall term, and SOLUS will automatically add the winter term half for you. To change terms, you'll see at the top of the screen, you can just click on Change. Once you're in the term you want to register for, click on Class Search and Enroll, and then click on Additional Ways to Search. And if you click on Available Subjects, this is the easiest way to find the courses you're looking for. Click on the subject and then search. There we go. Okay, so this is going to retrieve a list of all of the courses that are offered in that term in that subject. The first year classes are always listed first. To the left of the screen, you'll see a section called Course Career. If you click on Undergraduate, that will filter the list to show only courses available to on-campus students, so that's you. If you click on Undergraduate Online, that's going to retrieve a list of online courses. You are able to take online courses as well, but keep in mind that some spaces in those classes are reserved only for students studying 100% online. And in general, we strongly encourage first-year students to focus on in-person courses. You can also filter by 3-unit or 6-unit courses. And class status will allow you to filter on which class sections still have space. So in other words, open classes. So that's the default. Once you select the specific course, SOLUS will now pull up all the possible ways you could take this course, all the different lecture and lab sections. So here we see a number of different options that a student could select if they're taking Biology 102. So these are different combinations of lecture sections with lab section. And you can see that for each element of the course, SOLUS is giving details including the days and times, the locations, and the number of open spaces remaining in the lecture or the lab. And SOLUS will make sure that you've enrolled in all of the elements that the course requires. When you've selected the course, the sections of the course that you want, SOLUS will show it again to you to confirm. If you're adding an arts course that will need to wait till July 29th to be fully registered, you'll definitely want to toggle that waitlist option from no to yes, and then you click accept. And if you're working on this part this week, you'll be selecting adding to shopping cart and then clicking next. All right, one more look over. SOLUS wants to make sure you're sure, and it will ask you that quite a few times. And when your enrollment time arrives, you can go straight to your shopping cart where you've already loaded up all this good stuff. Select the courses on the far left column and then click the enroll button. Okay, so that should be it. But what if something doesn't work? What if you try to add your courses and you got an error message, you're not sure what went wrong? It could be any of these reasons that you see here. Read the error message that SOLUS is giving you, and it should indicate where the issue was, and tell you what you need to adjust in order to make things work. But if you feel confused about what you're seeing, or you feel like SOLUS is getting it wrong, that's a great time to reach out and give our office a quick call. And once everything is all ironed out, you can have one last look over at your timetable and say, am I done? Do I have 5 classes per term? Do I have any classes at West Campus and Duncan MacArthur Hall back to back with other main campus courses? If so, you got to go back and change a section. Do you have breaks in your daily calendar? Do you need to move something to make it more viable? And like I said earlier on, do you have enough gateway courses to give you plenty of choices for plan selection, to be mixing and matching and combining those types of degree plans for your upper years of study? All right, so that will let you know if everything is all set to go. Here, this is a question that we get a fair amount about AP and IB credits. So if you have a university equivalent course that was taken before you became a Queen student, you can apply for transfer credit for that course through the admission office. So this includes AP, IB, A-level, Cambridge pre-U, French baccalaureate courses, all those kind of areas completed in high school. So for more information, head to the Queen's admission page and do a search for transfer credits. A couple things to keep in mind. It's best to have AP and IB credits used to help completing your elective units for your degree overall. So that can mean that in one of your upper years, you can take a lighter course load without being behind in your units. I wouldn't recommend necessarily that you use it to either lighten your course load in first year or to try and skip over a first year course and go straight into a second year course. That's not the recommended use for it. In fact, there are departments that will not use AP or IB courses to offer a spot into their plans after first year. For example, if you want to go into psychology, you must take Psych 100 through Queen's, even if you had it at the AP or IB level. So remember though, even if those units aren't being used to sort of skip you ahead to second year classes or to replace that Queen's version of the course, the fact that you have that higher level course experience already under your belt is going to give you a fantastic academic advantage. So still well worth it to have taken that course. The deadline for applying for transfer credits for IB or AP is the end of the fall term. So that'll be December 2025. So that's definitely something to get on as soon as you can. Because before you know it, we'll be well into fall term, and then it might slip your mind. One course that you can start even now is called Academics 101. So you should see this on your on-cue pages already. I will just say as a note, each course that you sign up for, once you're registered in early September, you'll see that your on-cue page is activated for that course. And so that's going to be the sort of hub for the course information. The syllabus will be there. A lot of course engagement happens through on-cue. You can connect with professors and TAs that way, but this one is already available. So this isn't a course that you'd be doing as part of your degree units, but it is an interactive resource for incoming undergrad students to learn about the learning and writing and academic performance skills that you're going to need to succeed at Queen's. So you'll be able to reflect on your plans and goals for the year, to receive some feedback. You can complete the whole course or just individual subsections. There are some instructors of first-year courses who will either recommend or maybe even require you to do a section. So this is a way that you can get a bit of a head start even now. Okay, that was a lot of information, I know. What if you still need help? So you can find help certainly before registration begins in this last week before registration. That first year guide, I'm gonna say it and say it again. It's your best starting point. So heading to the arts and science page and bookmarking that and taking good time with it is gonna really help. I mentioned the drop-in advising on Zoom that's going to be happening on Friday between 9 to noon and 1 to 4. Links are on the SOAR page for that and on the first year registration guide. You can also call the first year hotline. It's open even now, afternoons only for this week. So from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern, and the number's there. Or you can send an email through to passhelp@queensu.ca. I will just put a little plug as well. We said PASS, that stands for Peer Academic Support Service, which is a fantastic resource of upper year peer advisors who are here for the academic year, specifically to help first year arts and science students. So they will be in, I always say, if class is on, PASS is on. So if it's not a holiday or a weekend, PASS is going to be there ready to help you if you want to drop in for advising or send them an email. And where to find help during registration. So first year hotline, again, you'll see there, that's going to be available all day and in those first couple days, even into the evening as well. And we'll have some lunch hour Zoom drop-in advising as well. But definitely start with that first year hotline. That's going to be your best place to start. And just like I said with PASS, our academic resources and our student services office is open all year round. Summer, fall, winter, we are here to help and to answer your questions, making sure that you are making that transition to academics well, and that you know what all your options are and you're making good decisions along the way. All right, so we've got a few minutes left. I know the Q&A has been busy, and I'm gonna see if maybe we could pull out some key questions that you've asked there that we can address for the whole group.
Q&A has been hopping, Kathryn.
I'm not surprised.
All right, are you ready?
Bring it on.
Okay. When will we find out this student calls it an academic calendar, but when will we find out the calendar of events, like when study week is?
Ah, I see.
Where
Okay.
can we find that information, Kathryn?
A really good resource. It's actually called the academic calendar, but it's more than a list of dates. So if you go to queensu.ca/artsci, that's the arts and science webpage, click on undergraduate, you'll see a whole lot of things come up that give an overview of what our office does. And over on one side of the screen, you'll see academic calendar. So you can click on that, and sessional dates are listed in there. And that will, right now, it's got all of the key sessional dates, when you can add courses, when you can drop them, when does the term end, when does the next one begin, when are the holidays and reading week. So all of that is listed there. You'll also find that the academic calendar is a wonderful resource for things like finding department contact information, understanding who the undergraduate assistants or undergraduate chairs are in the departments you're interested in, and finding where they're located if you want to stop by and ask a question. Lots of good information. Academic regulations are in there as well. Definitely worth a look. Good question.
I also would like to make a plug for our email newsletters. So
Oh,
students,
good one.
please do read them. Kathryn, maybe you want to explain what those are.
Yes, absolutely. I mentioned the importance of using your QueensU email address, and this is a key one. Like, we will be sending regular e-newsletters. We're not going to bombard you with with too much stuff. We are really conscious of that, but there's a lot of important information that happens throughout the year, and we know what's coming up in the year, and we know what kind of questions first year students are going to have at different points of the academic year. So keeping an eye on those newsletters is going to give you a great window into all of the supports and resources that are available to you at particular points in the year too. It'll give you good heads up for things you should be aware of.
And all those important dates, we include them all right at the top.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, next good question
Yeah,
is enrollment appointments. Why do I get 2 of them?
why do you get 2? Yes. Okay. So if you remember in those key dates, we do have a bit of a break in the middle of registration. So we have the initial registration time. There's something we call the hiatus, and then after the hiatus on August 18th, we start what's called open enrollment, or the add drop period. So your July 22nd enrollment appointment is the soonest time that you can get onto SOLUS and add those courses. So that's your enrollment time. Every undergraduate student in arts and science has their enrollment time plus that open enrollment start date listed on SOLUS. But it's that July one that you want to pay attention to. As I mentioned too, the sooner the better for enrollment. So take advantage of that nice early time that you've got on July 22nd.
Okay, next question is, how do you know if a class requires a lab?
Oh, SOLUS will tell you. So if you remember back to that section where we looked at Biology 102 as an example, SOLUS, it won't make you put the pieces of the puzzle together in terms of lecture and lab or tutorial or whatever combo it has. It will give them to you as sort of a package deal. So when you are looking at a lecture section, you can scroll down and see, oh, this lecture could be with this lab, or it could be with this lab, or it could be with this lab. So it will present those to you as an option, and you just kind of pick which combo you want.
Okay, next great question is, what's the difference between a lecture and a tutorial?
So good, yes. So lectures, there's labs, there's tutorials. So the lecture is going to be the sort of main information delivery component of the course. This is going to be the large section. If you think of maybe a larger scale classroom with 150 or up to maybe 350 or so students, all listening to the instructor at the front of the room who's presenting you with information. So then the tutorials and the labs are smaller subgroups of that larger lecture section. So it's going to be made of people who are in that lecture section, but just a few of them who then are able to interact with the material on a different level, not just sort of receiving it, but engaging with it together, discussing it as you would in a tutorial with led by a teaching assistant, or seeing how that plays out in application in the course of a lab. So the lab content and the tutorial content is meant to complement and reinforce what's being presented to you from the instructor in the lecture section.
Excellent, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a few more minutes, so a little bit more time for a few more. Does it matter when your lab and lectures are within your schedule? For example, if there are lectures on Monday and Thursday, yet the lab is on the Monday before, does this matter? Does the order matter?
Nope, that's absolutely fine. Yes. So if SOLUS is giving it to you as a pairing option, then that's totally fine. And you'll see information about that in your on cue page too. Like I know there are some science courses that maybe won't have a lab in that first week of classes. And so they would only have the lectures, and then the labs would start in week 2, but you'll have all that information in your on cue page for that class once you are about to begin.
Wonderful. This is not a science question, but I imagine that this would be of interest to a lot of students. How do I know which French class is appropriate for my level?
Oh, that's a really good one. I'm glad that came up. Yeah. So when you're taking a French course, especially if you're thinking, okay, well, I'm not fluent, but I've done a lot of French in high school. Where do I fit? Am I a beginner or am I intermediate? You'll see on the French department's webpage that they have a placement test. So they also want to make sure that students get in the right spot. So they'll do a bit of a placement assessment to make sure that you get recommended for the right course for your level. Kind of like I was mentioning too about the math and the physics courses that have different kind of streams even within the first year class options. If you were to start a French course that was recommended for you and you think, okay, this is way too easy, I need to do something else, or this is a bit faster paced than I was expecting, I want to try something else, you can still make those switches after you begin the course, before that last day to swap or drop. Nice to hear that there's science students out there interested in taking
There is.
that good broad range of courses too.
There is. Okay. I think this was mentioned, Kathryn, but how far is the walk from main campus to West Campus?
Yeah, so we in the summer, a couple of our student staff did a video and posted it, walking from main campus to West Campus, and they sped it up so you wouldn't have to actually watch them walk in real time. But I think it was about 20 to 25 minutes. We can show you the actual stopwatch that they used. We'll find a way to post that video on the Viva Engage page for your class. But yeah, it's about a 20-25 minute walk, keeping in mind too that it's going to be impacted by the weather. But there is also a bus, or multiple buses, I should say, that run back and forth between West Campus and Main Campus. It's a common stop on a lot of city bus lines. So you can also hop on the bus to get back and forth.
Seeing some questions from students concerned about enrollment appointment specific times and how they're spread out throughout the day. I'm just wondering, Kathryn, if you can provide some reassurance about how first year students have priority and access.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So you really do have, we want to make sure that you get into the courses that you need. And so first year students do have the very first opportunity to take courses before the fourth years, before the third years, before anyone else. So nobody else is going to have priority access to those first year courses that you need. Additionally, the times are spread out over the day. But that is more to be able to let the system accommodate everybody without getting overwhelmed, than it is, giving priority to any first year students over other ones. We've got a really good sense from all of the other years of what the patterns are for what students want to take. We know what you need, and we want to make sure that we can fit you into those courses that you're going to need for those gateways. Maybe there will be some elective courses that you might run into that don't have space in a section that fits, and you have to go to a plan B, and that's okay. Remember, like I said too, there's going to be so many opportunities in your upper years to take courses as well. So you don't have to take everything that was like right at the top of your list to take in your first year, but we will make sure that you get into the things that you need for your plans.
Okay, and that just leaves us with a couple minutes left to wrap up.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Kathryn, for taking the time and giving us all this great information. Before we end here, I would like to remind students to check out Viva Engage for a full calendar of all our SOAR events. And don't forget, we have virtual socials every Saturday this July. And you can schedule one-on-one or small group coffee chats with us, your SOAR peer ambassadors, if you have any questions that you would want upper year perspectives on. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And just to repeat, a recording of this will be posted on the SEO website and our YouTube channel, as well as the Arts and Science website. Have a great rest of your evening.